Soul Not for Sale. Let's get right into it. Now, in this episode that I'm showing you of the Joe Rogan Experience is with Dave Smith. It's 1977. I'm just about done working through this episode, but Joe Rogan asks a really interesting question, and it's, how don't people see the patterns that are going on? And when he says that, it's like the patterns that are going on, with the election cycles, the patterns that are going on with the government, the patterns that are going on with the media and the things that they tell us over and over again. And they give their own answer. Dave gives his answer. Joe kind of gives an answer as well. But I have a different answer. And I'm not going to say that it's better, but I am going to say that it's different. It's just what I see throughout the media and throughout, politics. So let's get right into it. But before we do, of course, I'm going to talk about Soul Not for Sale. What's going on with the merchandise? This is the merchandise. And I just wanted to read this quick little description if you haven't read it yourself already, just so you know what these hoodies are all about. This hoodie is for those who refuse to go along with the narratives the mainstream media presents to us every day. The narrative that we have to sacrifice freedom for safety, that wanting our privacy is selfish, and that wanting to keep our personal sovereignty is somehow arrogant. Our soul is connected to those things and is not for sale. I just wanted to read that because that's really what these shirts mean to me. That's why I made mine, because I was working in film and television, and I figured, that's the place you want people to know kind of where you stand. And I just wanted to share that with you guys. Every single purchase helps the channel tremendously. Every time we get limited or our videos just get completely just like no revenue allowed for no apparent reason, this helps us overcome that and keep bringing you guys content to YouTube over and over and over again. But other than that, let's get into the clip.
Oh, wild when you if you looked at us from outside of us and you looked at the human race and these patterns that repeat themselves over and over again, you would wonder, like, why aren't they seeing these patterns? Like, why don't they recognize when these things are happening as they've happened to so many civilizations before? Like, what is it about watching everything erode before your eyes that's not shocking enough to wake people up to what's happening?
Well, sometimes I think there's kind of like a pattern, and there's big forces at play that are hard for individuals to get a hold of. Like there's kind of this thing where there's like governments are power centers, and it's not just like, in the same way every business kind of wants to get bigger, wants to have more profit. You want to have more listeners to your podcast. You just kind of want more, but the government isn't in the market. It's not like, oh, I have to provide something of value in order to get more people voluntarily to listen to my show or come to my business or something like that. They're in the game of take things. They're in the game of force. You pay your taxes or you go to jail. Like this. That's the government is a monopoly on legal aggression, like on force. And so governments, it's almost impossible to stop them from just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And the bigger they get, the more corrupt things get, and the more power they have. And it's almost like this cycle, where like if a government is limited, then the country is prosperous because they have more freedom. And then the more prosperous they are, the more the government has that they can leech off of. And then the government gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's almost like, I don't know what can happen to stop that cycle. The thing that makes me optimistic is that they really rely on propaganda. Like they really need the propaganda, and they know it, They know they can't just like roll out the vaccine mandates without a huge propaganda campaign. They got to convince you and then try to get away with their tyrannical policies. And I do think that the propaganda is being undermined more than ever.
More than ever.
Like, it's really, really hard for them. It'd be really, really hard for them to sell us on some next bullshit policy.
That is, everything he said was correct, but I don't think he wasn't really addressing Joe's question. But I do love the term that they have a monopoly on legal aggression. That should be on a shirt. Like, put that on a shirt, put that on a poster, because that sums up the the state of politics today, or the state of the government, the state of law and order today. A monopoly on legal aggression. I like that. I'm not going to forget that. But when it comes to the patterns that Joe was talking about, I think the reason that we don't wake up to it is because it's something that we have to wake up to together. It can't be a couple of people wake up to it, because then those people seem crazy. See, Kanye West once said, he said, if you see somebody running down the street, like on a highway running down the street, they look like a crazy person. He's like, but if you get hundreds and hundreds of people to do it along with them, it looks like they're just running a marathon, you know? And it's kind of the same way when it comes to these patterns. It's like a couple of people just waking up and being like, hey, it's not enough. You know, the majority of people look at them and they go, you know, they brand them, you know, conspiracy theorists, crazy, you know, go get a job, incel, you know, they brand them the way they brand them, to discredit them, to dismiss them. The thing about it is, it's like what happens all the time with these patterns is that we would have to wake up to it together. And that's so hard to do when we're so dedicated to being on the left or the right. When you're so dedicated to being on the left or the right, it's really hard to, because right now it seems like a lot of people who would identify as like conservative and right leaning, they're waking up to everything that's going on. They're looking around, they're questioning things, but there's a whole other side of people. And not to say that these people are all, I'm not going to brand them as sheeple or asleep or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but they oppose whatever the other side is saying. So it's like right now we're at a place with identity politics where one side could be like, there's a train that's about to hit all of you guys and all of you guys are going to die. You have to move. Please come over here. Come over here. There's a train coming. And they'd be like, get out of here. They'd be giving you guys the middle finger. They'd be like, yeah, okay, conspiracy. You conspiracy theorist. There's a train coming. That's an owl that you're hearing. That's not a train whistle. That's just owls. Come right, guys. It's just owls. And then smack, everybody gets hit. That's how it is. It's like we're so tribed up that it's so hard for everybody to wake up together. What would it take for both sides together to go, oh, okay, this needs to, we need to do something about this. There's a problem. It would have to be a problem that affected all of us. But right now, the problems that are affecting all of us, there's huge groups of people who are like, that's not a problem. That's good. That's progress. That's great. I like that. I want more of that. You know, we saw that over the past 3 years. You could look at certain things that were going on in the past 3 years and you could be like, there's a lot of problems going on. And there was a bunch of people that were like, no, this is great. This is how it should be. And you should fall in line. It's like, how do you deal with that? And I say all that to say that the oldest trick in the book is divide and conquer. That's how you do it. I've talked about this before on this channel. You know, you divide people up every election cycle. That's why I brought up election cycles before. Every election cycle, you'll see, oh man, there's cops killing black people. And you know what color the cop was, right? Of course, he was a white cop. Oh, those people, you know, you can't trust those people. Next thing you know, all of a sudden, you got black people separated. You got white people separated. They even had a little stint where they had the whole Stop Asian Hate thing, and you had black people separated from Asian people, right? Certain black people, you know what I mean? But it was just like dividing it up. Let's divide it up. Roe v. Wade, let's divide it up. Let's divide these into small groups. Because it's like if 100 people come at me, and they're all coming at me, and I can stop and get all of them to break into 10 different groups, and then break those 10 different groups into into half and then get them to fight each other. Well, it's like, there's a whole lot of heat off of me. And then when one or two of them come to me and say, hey, you're the problem, I could be like, get out of here. Get out of here. It's easy to push away one or two people. But if I had to face those 100 people all at once, I'm dead. I can't fight 100 people. Just like, you know, the few can't fight the many. But if the many are all sided up and tribed up, and I'm on this team and I'm on that team, and I don't believe in this thing, and this guy's controlled opposition, and this person's a conspiracy theorist, of course we're never going to wake up to everything eroding around us, because we're all looking at each other like we're the problem. We all know where the actual problem lies. It's in the few. I'm not talking about government, not just government, but it's in the few. And I'm not talking about, I'm not like on this socialist kind of tip where it's like just the wealthy are the problem, but you know, I've said it before, the working class, you know, people who are in poverty and the working mid class, they are the lifeblood of a country, this country. And, you know, the more that they're divided, there will never be change for them, the more that they're divided, you know. And also, the more that they're divided, they'll never see that all of them together should be the ones that are in control of things, or at least should be able to sit at the table where we are talking about topics of control, decisions. We should at least be at the table in staggering numbers. But that's what I think about what Joe had to say. Why don't people see the whole erosion? Why don't we see the patterns? I think that's why. It's because we can't just all come together. Because when we do all come together, you see it. I'm sure you see it in your community. When your community comes together, you're able to do great things. It's probably a really happy time. If your whole city could do that, if your whole state could do that, and then pull in another state and another state, you guys could all just form a big chain together, there'd be so much strength in that, but it's hard to do. Take a look around you. You know, as I say stuff like this, take a look around you and see where the divisions are. See how many there are. There's so many. It doesn't just stop at politics. It's like, oh man, you don't watch sports? I don't know. I don't know if I can hang around the guy that doesn't watch sports. Oh, you wear pink hats? I don't know if I could be around the guy that wears pink hats. Well, you watch YouTube? Nah, I like Rumble. Well, you drink Bud Light? Nah, I'm all about Stella. Or like, aren't they owned by the same company? It's like, I don't want to hear any of that. You like the Lakers? Nah, I like the Miami Heat. It's like, it's endless. It's endless when you really start to look at things. And those things that I just mentioned seem harmless, but they are dividers in a way. They are dividers. But what do you think? In the comments, let me know if you're noticing any patterns that are going on. And also if you're noticing any divisions that are happening. Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, other than that, I am out. And check out the store. Check out the store. If you go into the description, you will find a link that will give you 10% off. And I'm saying it at the end because anybody who watched to the end deserves it. I'm out.